She is very attached to this home. There's something that she's not telling us in like all of the clips about this home, and she definitely hasn't told Steve. But
Like bodies in the basement?
no, like she really loves this home for sentimental reasons.
I think we're recording now. Does it look okay? Okay, I hope we're recording. All right. Welcome, finally, to the Love It or List It Rewatch podcast. I'm Tara, your host, and my guest is Justin. Say hi.
Hello.
Tell me, what's your experience with the Love It or List It show?
Watched a lot of it on streaming. That's about it.
Okay. What's your take on the show in general?
I feel like they keep their house way more than they should. That's my usual end to all of them.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good take, especially when your wife is a real estate agent, list the house. Today we're going to talk about season 1, episode 1, Musical Mansion with Steve and Jessica. What were your first thoughts of Steve and Jessica?
My first thoughts are she really doesn't want to move at all, and he is completely fed up with the house, away from all of the tasks that she's giving him to fix around the house, and they're completely impossible.
Okay, that was a little close to home. Anyway, season 1, episode 1, Musical Mansion, Steve and Jessica. The show starts with Steve and Jessica. They are proud owners of a Victorian they call their dream home. Since buying their home, they have had 2 kids. The show tells us they've started to collect things. What was your take when they said they collected things?
Another word for collecting things is hoarding.
Yeah, I wrote they've stopped throwing anything out since they've had children. So next we hear the dread type music. It was like haunted house style. And I'm guessing this is sort of the soundbite of we're about to see something absolutely disgusting. So we walk inside of the home and we just see a montage of pictures that scream my actual living nightmare. Clutter, junk, stuff, more stuff, stuff on stuff. And then we came across the musical instruments. Steve is collecting these, question mark. They have a poor daughter who is sitting there with mom. She's reading a book while dad is in the corner playing his trombone. Again, I think. But she's not having any of his nonsense. And Steve gets kind of weird. Did you notice what he said? He looks around at his instruments and says, "Aren't they beautiful?" I was about ready to just stop the show at that point and say, "You know what? Did I accidentally watch an episode of My Strange Addiction?" Because this was super weird. I don't know why a grown man needs to have that many instruments. He'd never mentioned being in a band. Anyway, they show a recording of the kids, and they're actually playing with the instruments in the home as if they are their play toys. And the wife is admittedly pissed. She looks around at all of the instruments and just says, "I have other things to do." She slams the door, and I have to stop the show and laugh. So we go to the narrator, and they say the lack of storage and amount of stuff has brought them here. I say the lack of ever throwing them away has brought them here. But Jessica's done, and she has thought about leaving. Based on the way she talks, I actually think she means leaving her husband, not her home.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of communication between them two that they just need to have on the side of like how do they want their life to go, and like what do they really have in common.
Yeah, this could have easily been handled on a Sunday evening discussion over a glass of wine, but luckily for us, they decided to bring television cameras in. So they bring in a realtor, David. I yell, "Holy 1990s." He has these sunglasses that I have to admit reminded me of when I met you. I'm pretty sure you actually have the exact same pair of sunglasses. And if I looked hard enough, I could probably find them somewhere in the house. But not here to talk about our own home right now. And they bring in Hillary. What did you think of Hillary?
I feel like she sighed really heavily and was like, I mean, I really can't do all of the things you're asking for, but my job is to try. Like, that was my first opinion of what she said.
Yeah, I kind of looked at her like, dear God. She's like looking at her contract saying, did I really sign up to do that show? But yes, I personally am here for this. So in our next scene, we have the four of them, Steve, Jessica, David, and Hillary, and they meet over dinner to discuss their plan. They're sitting at a round table and they have empty plates, glasses of water, and bread. I had to rewind this 3 times because that was it.
This is the story of our lives. I didn't see any of that.
Okay, I was
I
very
don't remember anything, any plates being on the table. I don't even know if I remember them being at a table. I do remember them asking for everything. They just want everything, and the house they have can't give them everything.
okay. Well, they are sitting around a just completely ridiculous table with nothing. And it's the most staged table, and it was completely distracting, I guess, only to myself. So why even add this food? I guess the early budget of the show was minimal, so they said, "Hey, we can't afford to feed you. We can only afford this table." So they go through their kind of wants and needs, and Steve and Jessica say in order to list their home and move to a new one, it has to be move-in ready, have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a large eating kitchen, an office, a playroom, a music room, parking, fenced-in backyard in their current neighborhood. So basically everything.
Everything. They just want everything.
They
that
want
their
3
house
bedrooms. Yeah, and 3 flex rooms. Sure. So to love their home, they want open concept, a play area, a music room, obviously, storage, office space, updated decor, redesigned master bathroom, master bedroom. Again, everything. So they show pictures of the current home again with the doom music. And I was like, ooh, haunted house, which is perfect for Halloween. Stuff on stuff, a computer on a computer, which is, I have to say, one of my favorite things.
I mean, I'm not one to complain about keeping computer stuff.
Maybe I was a little triggered. I looked at it like, why in the world? In their office, so they have a computer on top of a computer, but they probably also have a drawer full of cables
They should have a bin for that or two.
or a room. So they don't need any of this stuff, personally. I think they need a dumpster and a divorce attorney
Or counselor.
or counselor or, I don't know, a discussion.
So what about their budget? Like their budget, I mean, yes, this was like what, 13 years ago? But like their budget to me, they're like, we want everything, but we want to do it for the amount that they're probably gonna have to spend to replace their electrical and like the kitchen. Come to find out at the end, it ended up being the plumbing in the kitchen, but same difference, really.
I thought the same thing. I mean, they had so many things that they wanted, but they didn't actually think about any of the things that they needed, which probably is the story of my life with
And then they
work
decided to keep
sometimes.
it.
Well, we don't need to, we're not going to get there yet. Spoiler alert.
This was the story of my life with the show, though.
Anyway, Hillary, David, Steve, and Jessica head to their home to walk through. Hillary and David are very pleasantly surprised with what they see in the home. They have charm and character. It really is a cute house. I mean, especially for when they bought it and for everything they have, it's super cute. This sort of told them again the fact that it's best to start with a compliment when you are about to rip apart somebody's home and everything they love. So Hillary walks in and says, I'm going to rip out these walls. I'm going to tear all of this down. And I think, dear God, I hope their budget is $150,000. Shocking that Hillary wants to do all of these things. And again, the dread music. And then, was there something in their living room that you noticed that plays a really bizarre sound just living in their living room? Like a musical gong?
Yes, they did have a gong in their
No, no. They had 3. They had 3 gongs.
because just musical instruments. Gotta have them all.
3 gongs in a living room where they have 2 small elementary or younger children living, which I have to believe that Steve was punishing himself for something that he's done in his past, because I don't know why you would have 1, let alone 3 gongs in a living room with children,
Or punishing his wife.
or punishing his wife. So maybe they were just trying to torture each other and the show is just punking us. But next, after they pass through all the gongs, they go into their office. And do you remember the movie Sing, where the secretary has that room where there's just like all the stuff and there's like stuff everywhere? It's just like everywhere things and like paper on paper on paper and like computers and like stuff.
I do.
Well, Steve and Jessica's office makes that office look organized.
I mean, I think that's the story of their house, though.
I guess. I don't know if I just was having a day when I watched this, but I could not believe the amount of just paper that they have in their office. But
I mean, I couldn't get over the fact that they just want to like modern conveniences in 100-year-old home. Like, in my perspective, like you want 100-year-old home because you like the charm of 100-year-old home. Like the convenience of having something that's more modern is you have to like that over the charm of the 100-year-old home. And you have to have one or the other. You can't always have both.
of course, you either want the new home with all of the office space and the walk-in closets and the updated, or you want something more charming that's more Victorian, that's a little bit cuter and has the, smaller closets that you have to like just figure out. But I don't know. I think Steve and Jessica think that they want both here. So it's fine.
Can we also talk about her definition of old world charm? Like I want her to define what her definition of old world charm is, because she says it like at least 15 times in this episode.
I know it did get a little triggering.
Like, does she like baseboards? Like, does she like rooms divided? But then like she talks about how she wanted her house to have like an open floor plan, but then they can't do it because their house is old. Like, and it would cost their entire budget to make it be an open like floor plan. Like, I'm just confused about this terminology.
I agree. I think that she actually doesn't know what she wants, and really she just heard a trigger word or read it in Better Homes and Garden magazine and said, "You know what? That's what I want. I want old world charm. Yes, that's my new vision for my life." But I don't think she had any idea what it actually meant. So we then are going through the rest of the house. We have a disgusting primary bedroom, and there's actually musical instruments laying on their bed. Like a actual trumpet just laying on their bed. And I really hope that this was like done for the show, because if this is the way that they really live their life, I am just shook as to
I
why.
mean, how is she gonna wake up in the morning to taps? I mean, I'm just confused about this one.
I okay, yes. I think that's probably accurate. It's when you have a gong in the living room and a trumpet in your bedroom, that's the only way that you can wake up is to taps, I think. So we had talked about the budget for a minute, but we're now at the end. They've walked through the whole house, and it's like the moment of truth. And before they said what their budget was, I actually paused it and I wrote down my guess. I was thinking they would allow us to have each of them say what their budget was. And I guessed that her budget was going to be 45,000. I guessed his was going to be 30,000, which is really kind of low for what they need. So I pressed play. They only gave us one, and it was 45,000, which was, I was like exact. And I was like, I am like in Jessica's brain. It's kind of scary. Didn't do that.
My initial thought was it needed to be at least 80.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that. I think that probably should have been their budget. So we'll get there. But I was so proud of myself. 45,000 exactly is what they wanted, not what they needed, but what they agreed to. So now their home buying budget is 650,000. And that's what David has to like look for. So now David takes them to the first house to see. And I'm so anxious for this. I don't really know why, but it's like sort of the night before Christmas. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what David picked out. Did you have that same feeling?
No.
Okay, didn't think so. Anyway, the first house, 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, has a basement apartment, parking, it's move-in ready, and it's in their neighborhood. So, kind of perfect on paper, right?
Yeah, it
And
had
if
the bones.
it had the bones, but I know not everything is perfect just because it looks great on paper. And I say decent because 2000s, I don't think real estate photos were great, but their photos were good that they looked at to go to see the house. So I had really high hopes. Everything looked good. Everything seemed great. Doom music starts, and I'm like, something is about to happen. We're about to have the Halloween music of dread. Jessica walked in. I legit laughed out loud. I said, I am here for this drama. I was like, I am settling in. I love this show. I am so excited to go down all these episodes and see what else we find. This is just the first episode, but drama. There's an elephant in the room that they didn't notice about the house. There's an actual subway that goes through the back of the house. Like, subway. So Steve starts cracking jokes with the view from the dining room being the subway. Obviously, he hates it. And I'm kind of surprised and excited because Steve has a sense of humor. I was like, Jessica, you know what? You could make this work. He seems like a fun guy. Don't call those attorneys yet.
I mean, maybe they just get rid of a gong or two and then they can like figure it out.
I think so. But back to the house that they're looking at with the subway, this actually happened to me last year. And when I showed this house to a client, I knew there was a railroad track in the backyard. And I had reached out and said, hey, this railroad track, what's the story here? And I was told it was really not active anymore. It was an old track and not to worry about that silly old thing. So we go through, we toured this whole house, and they loved it. The neighborhood was so cute. They see themselves there. They are talking offers. They're like, oh my gosh, look at this room. This is perfect for our family. Look at this dining room. Well, we go outside, and here comes the train while we are outside. And I don't mean like far away. No, this was probably 12 feet from us, just through the yard. For about 7 minutes, this train drove by, and we stood there in the backyard the whole entire time. After it was gone, we all looked at each other, kind of stood there like, who is going to speak first? I don't want to be the one to say anything about this because maybe they didn't notice the train or care about it. Anyway, we all just laughed out loud. We left. They did not submit the offer. We never talked about it again. That was triggering.
Yeah, I mean, a train in the backyard's tough to deal with. I mean, there's a reason why the house was listed for what, 567 when everything else was listed 650 and higher.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Steve and Jessica. They left. This house was not the one. They did not put the offer in. It was just no. But Jessica still had to walk through this house that they hated and say all the things that she absolutely hated about the house. And I thought, oh dear God, David, good luck. Godspeed, buddy. So outside, they tell David they hate the house and it has absolutely nothing on their list. And they can't believe that he showed it to them. And they question if he knows anything about anything. And I am pretty sure that David is going to get fired at that very moment. And I am a little sad for him and his Gucci belt because I don't know how he's going to afford to buy those if he doesn't have this job anymore. But he does remind them that the house has everything on the list: the yard, the size, the neighborhood, open concept. And Jessica stops him and says, "But there's a subway." Okay, you're right. Why'd you put
Valid.
that? I mean, yes. Come on, David. Why'd you put that train there, bruh? Come on. Anyway, you're right. Valid. So they go back to their house. Hillary can't knock down the wall. What did you think when when that happened?
I was not surprised at all.
Of course.
I also feel like they should have told her that well before that moment when they're already tearing up the house. Like, you knew that wall was like a
Load-bearing?
load-bearing wall. Like, you would have known that the moment you had an engineer walk through that house and look at the beach. Before any plans for this were done, they knew that was a load-bearing wall. The fact that they walked through and had a surprise, like, voila, hey guys, we can't do this. Like, it's surprising to me. They would not have needed to like bust down any walls to know that that is a load-bearing wall.
No. I mean, it was definitely dramatic effect, but Steven, Jessica, they were pissed.
Yeah, they acted like it was the first time they heard that of like what a load-bearing wall was and that it could even have been a possibility. Which I don't know if that was their fault or if that was like Hillary's fault for not telling them, but I mean that was like basic. Like
Basic.
they should have known that was a load-bearing wall themselves. Like,
100%.
this is 2012. This isn't like 1995. Like they could have Googled what a load-bearing wall would look like, and they would have known.
I think my favorite thing is that Steve looks at Hillary and says, "Well, that's a deal breaker." Well, sorry.
That's because he doesn't want to be in that house. He's just looking for all the deal breakers. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't want my basement that has a 4-foot ceiling. It's like a borderline crawl space to be like my music zone. Like I don't have a music space for my gongs.
Where am I gonna put my
Where am I going to
gongs?
put my gongs if I don't have an open floor plan?
I mean, I ask myself that every day. We go back in the house. They're still walking through. Everything has been removed because they're looking at it. And there is this strange bookshelf that's in the house that you couldn't see before because the house was so cluttered, full of stuff. And it's just ugly. Hillary wants to remove it.
Yeah, but it has the old world charm.
Well, also sentimental value because their brother-in-law built it. So it cannot go.
I have a feeling Steve doesn't like the brother-in-law.
I don't know the backstory here, but this is another deal breaker. So like there's like deal breaker on deal breaker on deal breaker that is just, I mean,
it was also a reoccurring issue, like thing for me during this episode that like she is very attached to this home. Like there's something that she's not telling us in like all of the clips about this home, and she definitely hasn't told Steve. But like
bodies in the basement.
no, like she really loves this home for sentimental reasons. Like maybe like they had their child like before they had this home, and it's the only home they've raised their kid in. And like I don't know what's attaching her to this, or maybe it's the bookcase. I don't know. And they didn't have a backstory about her brother, but I don't know. Like she really loves this bookcase, and maybe she doesn't want to get rid of the house because of the bookcase. But like, there's something really tying her to this home. It's not the home, and it's not the rooms, and it's not the space that they have to do anything. It's all emotional.
I agree. I do like the fact that you went to the emotional, like sentimental value, and I went to bodies in the basement. But anyway, deal breakers. There's deal breakers everywhere you look. That's a deal breaker, and this is a deal breaker. And you know what? The deal is broken.
House torn up. It's kind of done deal at that point.
Kind of a done deal. Well, they could list it. Remember, they could still like sell this house because it'd be worth more. So we'll get to that. But anyway, they have this one bookshelf. It doesn't make any sense because there's not another bookshelf on the other side. So there's like asymmetrical, like strange bookshelves that don't make any sense. So they did come up with a good compromise, build a second bookshelf because they can't lose the one because it's sentimental because the brother-in-law built it. So yay, I said compromise. Good job, guys. Your therapy is really showing here. I'm proud of you. So back to David. They're at a second home, 2,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, finished basement, fence and yard. Again, on paper, it's promising. Inside, it's really great. I think out of all of them, this was my favorite one. It had everything they wanted, but there's a dilemma, and it's out of their price range by over $100,000.
The thing that really got me about this house, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, they didn't show us a really good view of that staircase, but that staircase was interesting. On the first floor, this is the moment in the episode where I really wanted her to define old world charm to me, because this house did not like give me old world charm.
No.
And like, I was also extremely confused about how she suddenly loved the master bedroom of this house.
Yes. She really did. Like, I think it was the fact that there was no trumpet. She said, you know what? No one's going to sing taps to me or play taps to me. I love it. I love everything about it. This is great. No, but this house, I thought this was the best of all their options. And it was out of their budget, but this was the early 2000s. We can negotiate. I was like, oh, this is such a good option.
But it was move-in ready.
It was move-in ready.
Move-in ready. She sort of liked it. She liked the master bedroom. They never mentioned the stairs. I feel like there were several pictures of the stairs where they were like, I feel like they're going to mention the stairs, but they never
And
did.
they didn't. That is weird. So Jessica seems okay with the price when they go outside and they start talking about it. And I was kind of like excited for Steve. I thought, oh, here you go. Like, you can get your house. You can be in this new one. You can have your space. I'm like, David, call the photographer. Let's sell their current house. Like, done deal. But they got to have the trigger. They go back to Hillary. And there was an armoire they moved to get it out of the entryway. But not so fast. Hillary hates that armoire there. So they got to move it all the way back out. This was quite the amount of drama that I really laughed at quite extensively, but Hillary hates the armoire. I think it's just like throw the armoire out of the window. So we go to the entry of the home. It's changed. They've added bench seating. They start showing Jessica the house, and she hates it. But upstairs, of course she does. I know. I don't think they like anything really.
And I also think that like showing anyone a house like during that moment of like construction is just you're bound to have be failed, because it's just going to, everything gets destroyed and it looks awful. It just does.
I agree. It's so hard. I mean, it's so hard to walk through anything that's like construction zone, because like until you're at that final product, like there's too many variables that can change. So they go to the office and they're putting together a new desk. Did you notice anything about the desk?
No.
Okay, it was probably the cheapest desk I've ever seen in my entire life. And at this point, I'm like, that $45,000 budget that you so wanted, Jessica, with updated decor is going to get you IKEA's finest, which I love IKEA.
And I mean, she wanted a kitchen. She needed a full new kitchen.
But she got an IKEA desk.
Yeah, but how much does a full new kitchen cost?
More than $45,000.
In 2012, it might have been $45,000. Like, but like then there's no money for desk. I need $100 desk at that point from IKEA.
That's true. I said $10, but we'll give it 100. Anyway, Steve and Jessica walk through the house because they can't seem to stay away and they're glutton for punishment. But the crew is painting the bench area when they walk in. Do you remember what color they were painting it?
No.
Black. Because Jessica freaks out. She is so pissed. She immediately sees them painting it black and says, you have to change this back right now. I hate it.
I mean, Isn't black gonna make their small house look smaller?
Well, Hillary tells them she has a plan and a vision, and she's the expert here, just to trust her. I don't think they trust her.
Hillary does this a lot, where she's like, "I have chosen the colors,
Yeah,
and we
you
already
just sit
bought
back.
all the colors, so I really don't care what you think about the color. So we're gonna do the colors, and I don't even care if I tell you that I'm going to change the colors. When you walk through on your final walkthrough, you're still gonna see these colors."
Hillary says, "You're going to walk into your house and you're going to see your house be whatever color I decide it's going to be, and you are going to say absolutely nothing about it because it's done."
100%.
So they hate the color, and I literally can't with them. They're the worst. Steve's walking through, and after the paint incident, I almost just gave up at this point because he sees a ladder out of the corner of his eye. And his old house that has been cluttered full of crap for years has a ladder that the crew's using that they lean up against a wall. Steve loses his mind. He is set off. I mean, he goes off. How could anybody be so disrespectful to place a ladder against the home? This is a construction zone, and you are putting this ladder up against my house. Who is even here? Everybody out. I hate everybody. And I'm like, oh my God. Steve, take a gummy or something.
I'd also like to know, they never say how long these take, like, to do the remodels, and also, like, where are they living, like, during the remodel? Because they're not in the house. Like, they're living with what, in an apartment, probably an extended stay, with, like, their young child while their house is being remodeled and they don't have any other things. The amount of stress they're going through at the moment is probably pretty high too.
They should probably stay out of the house then.
They probably just like should buy a new house without remodeling their existing one
should
if they can't handle the stress of it.
They
I
probably
think
should.
anyone who has done a remodel of their home will tell you it is the most stressful thing they've ever done, and they're surprised that they're still married after the fact.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We've been there. But let's stay out. Don't look at it, especially if you have the option. That's a good thing I'm going to look into. I'm going to see what they do with the people while they're out of their house, because I wonder if they do, if the show pays for something or if they figure something out. But I'm going to look into that and find out where these people are while all of this is going on. So they go back to David, the realtor. And I guess off air, he showed them 6 more houses. So, yikes. The show has a little flashback reminder of the dining room table that they were sitting at the beginning, the one with all 4 of them where there was no food. And it's reminding them why they're actually here and what their goal is. And they're not being forced into this. And then I noticed that the table that I mentioned earlier that had the bread actually has no silverware on it, which I was very much drawn to for an extended period of time.
Do you think this was the moment in the production of this episode where they're like, I don't even know if we're going to make it through episode 1 of making episode 1? Where like
100%.
these people are just going to bow out and we have to like totally bring in the lawyers to show them the contract that they signed?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I'm like, this is, I had no words at this point. Like, where's the show even going? So David shows them house 7, 2,500 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, a yard, a finished basement. It's great. I said, okay, let's find out how they hate this one. Off to a good start. They like the wood trim.
Is this the one with the massive fireplace?
This is the one that was empty.
Okay.
So this home is vacant, and Steve is floored by this. He cannot envision anything. He is so incredibly put off that this home is vacant. So as they're walking through, it's huge, and like it really is great, but they can't possibly imagine living there because it's vacant. So as they're walking through, he's like, this is a big room, but I just can't imagine my furniture here because it's vacant. And then I thank God for modern technology because at least now we can like stage homes virtually. And do you remember that show, Who's the Bee in Apartment 13 with Jessica Collins? She has that eye roll where like her whole body like rolls. Like she's just like, ugh.
I don't.
Okay. There's a meme. Go look it up. You're gonna see it and know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the one with James Van Der Beek where he played himself in the heightened.
Okay.
Remember the girl in that who was so like I don't know, her whole body went into everything she did. I just
I
like
think I've seen like an episode of this.
I had a whole body eye roll, and that was me. So he's just going on and on. This huge home actually would give them a mortgage that is half of what they have now, but he can't envision himself there because it's vacant. Moment of truth. Next. Remember the Next Bus on MTV? Do you remember that?
No.
The show? They would date. They'd bring everybody they wanted to date on, and like one person would be the dating person, and the other people would all be on the bus, and this person would be on the
I
date, and
do
they would come
remember
out,
that show.
and then like she would go on the date, or
Yeah.
he
Yeah, I
was like
remember.
next.
Yeah, and they'd have the other people on the bus just like watching
Yeah.
what was going on. Yeah, I remember that one.
And it was always so much more fun on the next bus than it was like out on the date.
Way more fun. Like they had way more fun. And then the ones that would come back would have fun, like talking smack the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah. I
You'd be like,
remember.
oh God. Yeah, we dodged a bullet on that one. Okay. Anyway, sorry about the tangent. Moment of truth. They walk in their home to see everything that they did. So now their small home that was full of clutter is now a small home full of IKEA's finest. I thought they did an okay rehab. What'd you think?
I thought it was fine. So they redid the kitchen. The kitchen was
Yes,
all right.
yes. But you were talking earlier about the like her emotional attachment to the house. Hillary did something that I was like, "Ooh, girl, you nailed it." She did the kids' rooms.
Yeah.
And that wasn't on the
kids
initial list.
It was on the list because the one girl was getting bigger and she wanted to have another room for the daughter because they were sharing rooms. So having them have their own rooms was a big part of it. I remember that part. And I remember them really showing those rooms was kind of. I loved the girls' rooms.
I did too.
The one thing I didn't love was like an office with windows, cool, but that office was all windows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a lot of windows for an office. But then it was like, you're gonna need a space heater for this for the winter.
True. Especially in that house. I'm sure the insulation in there isn't great with the age of it.
And then they were able to move the washer and dryer out of the basement, right? Because
Mhm.
they were using the washer and dryer for the basement, and the daughter would play in the basement while the mom was doing laundry. And then they're like, we moved the washer and dryer out of the basement, so now your basement is used for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's now just a cellar, the way it was initially designed 100 years ago. So you might want to just start canning your goods and putting them down here to
Aw.
keep cool, because you can't even stand down here to begin with because it's not like a full basement.
I do love a good cellar though. I mean, that's charming. That's old world charm, right?
That is old world charm. The only thing that would make it more old world charm is to have the entrance on the outside.
Oh.
But
Like the Wizard of Oz.
they they wanted that extra space upstairs, right? And they weren't able to do that where the one where they had the door that went through the bathroom and it went upstairs and there was like a hole in the floor. And this
Mhm.
is where I realized, so they redid the plumbing in the house because the plumbing was literally made out of a material that the construction guys didn't know. They had no idea what the material did. Like Hillary asked them what material it was, and they were, I have no idea.
I don't know.
So we're just gonna have to replace all of it. But I looked at the upstairs attic. There was like a loft sort of. The flooring, the perfectly good wood flooring, was torn up, because that was where they replaced the electrical, probably before they bought the home, because you could see the electrical wires going through there. And that was where they ran all the electrical wires. So the house has updated electrical wire at least. That was the first time I realized that. But also, their budget was so low that they couldn't throw down flooring in that room and put up drywall. Like that was
Yes,
literally $1,000 to renovate that space,
I
and they
know.
didn't have the budget to do it. And that was like a big thing. They could have put his office up. Like, okay, they could have.
Because they were still sharing an office at the end, which I feel like is probably not going to be good for their marriage or really anything or working.
Where are they going to put the gongs? They could have put them upstairs.
Where are they going to put the gongs? I mean, that is always the question. I ask myself that daily, but
I felt that the renovation actually reduced their square footage of use.
I did too. I
Like,
felt like
I don't think that the basement would ever like technically be considered square footage because of the height, but like they used it. I mean, I guess you store all your stuff down there now, all your instruments, but then like putting your
yes,
instruments in a cellar of a 100-year-old home, like I
and
think
at
she
some
might
point that
put
basement is going to
she
flood
might
and
put 'em down
everything is
there
going to be
so that
ruined.
they can eventually throw them away, right? But like,
That's Steve's house. That's where Steve lives now.
yeah,
Steve is now a basement dweller.
yeah.
I mean, maybe that was the goal. But really, in that basement, you have to imagine at some point it's probably going to flood, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So their house before the renovation had a value of $650,000. They had a renovation budget of $45,000 and the new value is now $750,000. So I mean that's really not bad. $100,000 of value with you know, less than half of the amount that they put in, which is not bad, especially because they were looking at homes that were not valued more than what their house was worth now. So really they were doing a lateral move, which Steve kind of said when he was saying that the mortgage was going to be smaller.
Yeah, but they could have bought that house,
No.
that third house. That I have to go back to the third house because the third house, I remember the outside pictures, and all I could think was there is no outside like charm to this house. It's just 90% railings. Like the outside pictures, all I saw were railings. But
There was no subway.
there was no subway, it had a decent yard. It was
It
a
was
put
bigger.
together house, and they like it was move-in ready.
It was
It
move-in
had
ready.
space for them. But what did they do?
Well, you know, they have a moment. And Jessica's really coming around. She loves the house after Hillary renovated it. And they go in one room. That Hillary and David go in the other room. So literally next to each other. And Hillary and David say nice things to each other, which I thought was so cute.
I feel like they actually don't like each other, but that's beside the point.
Agreed. But still, they said, "Oh, good job, good job." Hillary did not say, "I hate your sunglasses." He did not say, "I hate your hair."
I mean, he didn't say I could have got them way more than this.
He should have. Anyway, decision time. So they put in some serious thought in 7 minutes. And Hillary and David are peering into the other room, looking at them, like just literally peering. And what do you think they're going to do? Love it? List it? What was your guess at this point? Just before you looked, what did you think they were going to do?
I kind of thought they were going to go for the third house
I did
because
too.
that was the first time that she was actually like, "Oh, I like this
Yes.
open like first floor where like you walk into that area and the only thing I could think was, wow, I can hear the echo through like through the show." But like she actually kind of liked that house. But then they
Well, I thought they were going to go for sure because they had no room in their house.
took away the basement and they
Took
didn't
away the
finish
basement.
the attic. Like they wanted the extra space, right?
At the end of the day, their house was still too small. It did not have the things they wanted. And they didn't even do all of the work that they had wanted to do in the house. I was for sure like they're gone. But you know what? They stayed.
And also, they would have sold that house renovated There was what would they have needed to have done on like an inspection? Probably nothing. Very little.
And their house was now worth $750. The third house was at a price point that they were going to make money. They could have hired Hillary or somebody to come and design the house and put their new house together
That third
and
house is
also
probably
have,
worth $1.2 million today.
well, they decided to stay. And I am sure I tried finding, I looked it up. I cannot find where Steve and Jessica are now. I really wanted to have like an update, but like I don't know. So if anybody knows where Steve and Jessica are, I guarantee they're not in that same house because that was a terrible decision.
I want to know if they're divorced.
I know, me too. I was like Googling like
need to
Steve
figure
and
this out.
Jessica, love it or list it.
That's really what we need to figure out.
I know. I need to know the updates. I need to know where these people are now, what happened, if they've regretted their
They
decision,
sold their house.
if they sold their house, what did they sell it for? Because there has to be some good updates at this point. So
Got it.
I know I need to find, that's my goal, is to find the updates on where they are because I was just left with so many questions. But thank you.
That was fun.
That was fun. Thanks for coming and talking about Love It or List It. And first episode of our show.
I'm ready for number 2.
I know, me too. I'll like run home and watch it. Anyway, thank you for being here, listening to the first episode of Loved or Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here and listening to the first episode of Loved It or Listed. Oh my gosh. Okay. Start over. Thank you for listening to the first episode of Loved and Listed. I'm Tara Meyer, and I thank you for coming here. I challenge you to watch these episodes with us. Next one, season 1, episode 2. You can find me on social media, and you can find photos of this episode and follow along on my Instagram. And thanks, Justin. I hope you had fun. Thanks. We'll see you guys soon.